So, singular. Yo, what does that mean? I. What about tú?
You.
Él, ella, and usted.
He, she.
You. What's the difference between the second and the third line there? All right, what about nosotros? We. Vosotros. Right, it's actually you. Ellos and ellas is they. And ustedes is you informal. You formal and plural. So on your quiz, you're going to have to know these. You're going to have to know your personal pronouns. You're also going to have to know what would replace it. So if you were to say, my friend and I, what verb would you use? Well, you'd use the one that would go along with nosotros, right? You would use that verb because that would be the plural of the verb that you're talking about. So just like in English, you have to have subject-verb agreements. If you don't, then you've done it incorrectly. And in Spanish, it's actually a completely different word. Whereas in English, sometimes it's not, sometimes it is. Our language is not quite as patterned as Spanish. This is the list of verbs you need to know for tomorrow. Hopefully you've gone through them over the last few days. This is the vocabulary. It's not going to be matching. It's not going to be multiple choice, all right? It's going to be where I give you a verb and you have to tell me what it means. As far as I give you a conjugated verb and you have to tell me what it means specifically. So if I were to use the conjugation for we talk, then you would need to tell me that's we talk if it's hablamos, okay? And so you need to be able to know what these verbs mean and how they're conjugated. So we're going to talk about the conjugation first. All right, so they all conjugate the same. With AR verbs, this list of verbs, there are no exceptions. These are AR verbs. So you have a stem of the verb. Have y'all talked about stems? Okay, so the stem of the verb is the first piece of it. The AR is the rest of it. So the stem tells you what it means. The AR tells you how to conjugate. So if we look at this first group here, let's see if we look at caminar, right? Caminar means to walk. The CAMIN piece of it is the stem, okay? That's what tells you what the verb actually means. And then you have the little AR. All of these have the AR at the end, right? And that's telling you how you're going to conjugate this verb. Conjugate meaning put it in the right form for singular, possessive, etc. All right? And so once you know that piece of it, you just drop the AR and then you conjugate based on which position you're in as far as that chart goes. All right? So if you look right below it, they tell you how to do that. You drop the AR, you keep your stem, you drop the AR, and you have O, as, a, amos, ais, an. All right, that represents yo, right? Yo is the O, okay? Tú is the as. Ella, el, usted, that's the a, all right? And so you're just taking that verb that you had and you're putting it into place, all right? So if we were to just take one of the verbs, we'll use caminar, all right? If we were to take that particular one, caminar means to walk. We are going to keep this piece of it right here, and we're going to plug everything else in, all right? So if I were to conjugate this, I'm going to say camino, caminas, camina, all right? And so in Spanish, you actually don't even have to use the personal pronoun. You actually say the pronoun by what you are saying in the ending of your verb. So if I wanted to say we walk, I don't have to say nosotros caminamos. I can just say caminamos. And that's enough. I don't have to add the personal pronoun on top of it. So the conjugation actually tells you what you're talking about, all right? You don't have to actually add in the personal pronoun like we do in English. You would never say walk, you would say we walk, all right? But you would also say I walk in English. And so it's not specific enough in English. In Spanish it is, whereas you don't have to actually add that personal pronoun in front of it. I can say that word. So the first top doesn't have a verb attached to it, all right? It just has the yo, tú, él, ellas, usted, nosotros, vosotros, ellos, ellas, ustedes, all right? So what it wants you to do there is this is just for AR verbs. You want to write in your endings for that group, all right? So the endings that we just talked about, it's also in your book on page 47. what are your endings for those lists there, that list of your pronouns, just for your AR conjugation. All right, so for your AR conjugation, you should have o, as, a, amos, ais, an. All right? And so the next one, y'all actually don't know this particular verb, right? Caminar. Oh, no, y'all did. This is one y'all do. For several of them, like nedar, I guess. Nedar, y'all don't know. It doesn't matter if you know the word. It matters if you know how to conjugate it, okay? So caminar is the one we just did. We just did caminar, right? To walk. So if I wanted to say they walk, what would I say? They walk. So which one of these would that be? Singular or plural? It would be plural, and it would be my third person, right? It would be they. So I would have the stem, kami, and then just nan on the end of it. Kami nan would be they walk. And so if it is one that you know, you're going to fill in to walk there. So you're going to fill in to walk, because that's a verb you're supposed to know, caminar. All right? And then you're going to fill in that entire group. You're going to fill in I walk, you walk, he, she, or you walks. We walk, you walk plural, you walk formal plural, or they walk, AOAS. All right? So go ahead and fill that in. And then we're going to look at one that we don't know the meaning of. So if I were to say that Jason walks, what would I say? Which verb would I use for Jason walks? Michael? Right, you would say Jason kamina, because that is the same as saying he walks, all right? If I were to say Miss Amy and I walk, which conjugation would I use for Miss Amy and I walk? Which conjugation is that? I'm hearing it, caminamos, right? We walk, all right? So that's why it's very, very important for y'all to know what these stand for. Very, very important that you know where it is, like in the English world, where it would be. I, you, he, she, and you. And then we, you plural, they, and you. All right? So that way, if you have a sentence presented to you, you know which piece of that conjugation you're using. All right? So I want you to try the next one, nedar. You don't know what nedar means, so you're not going to put, it's not one of the ones you have to know for tomorrow. So you're not going to put the definition there, but I want you to conjugate it based on just the fact that you can see the stem and that you can drop the AR. So check your work. Nadar actually means to swim. It's not one that you need to have memorized right now. Nado, nadas, nada. Nadamos, nadais, nadan. All right? And so again, if I wanted to say you swim informal, I would use nadas too. All right? If I wanted to say you plural, formal, I would say nadan. Ustedes nadan. All right? So that is the basics of conjugating AR verbs. All right, mis amigos. Mis amigos. Do y'all know what that means? So, my friends. Which pronoun would you use for my friends? Ellos, probably, because it's amigos, right? Ellos, which is they. So which conjugation would you use here? Viajan, right? Viajan. We would use this guy right here. Viajan, right? All right. Alisa. And we're calling her by her first name with nothing in front of it. Not senor, right? Senora. being a woman, more formal. So, which one are we going to use here? Yeah, it's going to be she, ella, which is habla, right? Habla. Los padres de Viviana. Have y'all learned padres? So Vivian's parents would be more formal, okay? So what would you use here? They, pretty much. Cantan, right? Tú. Which two? Which one? Tocamos or tocas? Tocas. All right. And although you don't know what that means, what do you think that means? All right. Nosotros. Nosotros. Bailamos. Bailamos. Which y'all know bailar, either bailar's to dance. But all right. Yo. Yo's easy. Goes along with it. Compro. Compro. Eduardo y Paula. Nice name there. Paul. All right. What do they do? Trabajan. Trabajan, which means to work in the bank. Okay. Ricardo. Ricardo. Dibuja. Your J's are pronounced with an H sound, right? Dibuja. H sound. Fernando y yo. Fernando y yo. Visitamos. That's we, right? Las profesoras. Las profesoras. Enseñan. Enseñan. Tú y Pablo. Tú y Pablo. Yes. All right. Mi hermano. Yes, it's just she, right? She, or he, rather, my brother. Yo, what's the next one? Llego. Is that one you have to know? Yes, arrive. Los estudiantes. Estudian. And vosotros. We. They, or you, rather. Pati nice. Pati nice. All right. For the first one, you said it should have had habla. Habla. What does habla mean?
Speak.
Yeah, it's to speak. So, la maestra siempre speaks Spanish, right? Speaks Spanish. Tú, you should have used miras. What does miras mean? To look at. If you have an easy way to remember it, it looks like mirror, okay? So that's how I always remembered that one. All right. You don't know nadar is to swim. But ellos should have been nadan. Yo, necesito. Necesito, what does that mean? That sounds like it. To need. It is a necessity to need. Necesito. All right. This is a question. Have y'all talked about questions a little bit? All right. So you'll notice that in the questions we have an upside down and a right side up question mark. You know, at the beginning of the sentence that you have a question, by the way. Typically in a question, your verb is going to come secondary. So you see this blank and then ustedes. So ustedes is who is doing the action here. So you should have used compran. Compran. Ustedes compran. All right. Compran ustedes. All right. Pablo. Pablo practicar. Practica. And what does that mean? To practice. Again, sounds very much like the word itself. And mis compañeros de clase, my classmates, estudian. Estudian.